are thousands and thousands of flags in the world. A flag could be for an international union, a country, a subdivision, a
City.
company, even. It could be for a sexuality, even a single person. Flags can be made for literally anything. Anyone can make them, and anyone can have their own opinions of them. I'm Trey, and today we're going to be talking about what actually makes a good or a bad flag. Now, you may be thinking, viewer, that there is no such thing as an objectively good or bad flag, which is true, except for in one very specific scenario. Instead of basing our opinions on personal preferences, we can turn to established guidelines to build a foundation for judging flags. The set of guidelines that people most often turn to are the guidelines set by the North American Vexillological Association, or NAVA. So that's what we will be looking at for this video. If you want to see those guidelines for yourself, you can go to their pamphlet, Good Flag, Bad Flag, which will be linked in the description below.
Rule number 1. Keep it simple. A flag should be so simple that a child should be able to draw it from memory.
This is quite possibly the most important rule when it comes to flag making. Flags are most often seen waving in the wind, so if a flag has too many intricacies, you probably won't be able to tell what it is when it's up in the air like that. Overly complicated flags can also make for a bit of an eyesore. Just look at this flag I made right here that completely violates this rule. It makes you want to gouge your eyes out, right? There's just too much stuff going on to make it actually coherent. And don't even get me started on what it looks like when it's waving in the wind. But wait! There are still some really good complicated flags in the world that are still instantly recognizable and very memorable. Flags like Mexico or Portugal, San Marino or Mozambique, they're all very detailed, but many people can get at least the gist of these flags when drawing them from memory. And that's the biggest issue with this particular rule. Most people, including a lot of kids, could probably draw a flag from memory and have the final result be recognizable if they're shown it. So you should probably make a flag simple enough to be memorable at a moment's glance, but you don't need to make it so simple that you can make it just by cutting up rectangles of colored paper and putting them on top of each other.
Rule number 2. Use meaningful symbolism. Your flag should contain colors and imagery that represent what it stands for.
While this is an important thing to take into consideration when designing a flag, you should never go too far with it. What I mean by that is whenever you're trying to represent everything and everyone, you'll always end up with an ugly mess. A very good example of a flag that has run into this very issue is the infamous barcode flag for the European Union. While this flag does represent every single country in the Union by using their flag's colors, it just becomes a blur when far away, or up close, really. So you shouldn't try to symbolize everything. Instead, pick one or two symbols that are meaningful to the people that are being represented by the flag, and then go with it. Or you could choose to have no symbols whatsoever and have the flag itself be a symbol. This is a risky idea though, so make sure people really like your flag if there's going to be no symbolism for it. Not enough symbolism and you could end up with something that nobody ever will ever use. Too much symbolism and you'll end up with this. Flags should have that perfect balance with just enough symbolism, whether it be through colors or imagery, or there are many ways to portray ideas on a flag.
Rule number 3. Use 2 or 3 basic colors. Try to limit the amount of colors you use and make sure they contrast well.
No, you don't have to limit your flag to 2 or 3 colors, let alone basic ones. There are many flags in the world that break this rule and still look really good. They don't look too complicated. In some cases, they even contrast well. Sure, having fewer colors will make the flag easier to design and have better contrast, but you don't need to restrict yourself to unneeded difficulty. If you know what you're doing, you can easily make a flag that makes this rule completely obsolete. Look at the flag of South Africa, for example. They have 6 colors, and yet it's still a really good flag. Also, the phrase basic colors is incredibly ambiguous. What exactly is a basic color? Well, it's these ones: red, yellow, green, blue, purple, black, and white. These are the colors that are officially recognized by heraldry as parts of tincture. Tincture is basically how colors of a flag are organized to make contrast. Those 7 colors I mentioned a second ago are divided into 2 groups: metals and colors. White and yellow are the metals, and the other 5 are the colors. Metals shouldn't touch metals, and colors shouldn't touch colors. Here's a flag that follows the rules of tincture, and here's one that doesn't. Notice how the colors are organized? You can make out the flag on the left way easier than the flag on the right, right? Do you understand tincture now? Yeah? No? Maybe? Great! For now, though, just know that this is the most breakable out of all of NAVA's rules.
Rule number 4. No lettering or seals. Never use writing of any kind or an organization's seal on a flag.
Oh boy, do I sure have a lot to say about this one. This is somehow the most broken rule out of all of the guidelines. for some reason. America. But there is a massive misconception going around about this rule in particular. People who just read this rule verbatim without looking at any flags will often think that any lettering or words on a flag automatically makes it a bad flag. Even you might think that having words on a flag automatically makes it bad, but that's wrong! What actually makes having words on a flag bad is having the name of whatever the flag represents on the flag. Flags are meant to be a symbol of an entity, and having their name plastered across it completely defeats the point of having a flag. Look at the flag of Brazil or the flag of Saudi Arabia. They both have words on them, but do they say Brazil or... No! They have phrases that are very important to their nations. As for the seal part of this rule, having a seal, not a coat of arms, those are different things, on your flag does indeed make it a worse flag. This is because seals just aren't supposed to be on flags. And putting your seal on your flag just makes it reek of laziness and apathy. To simplify, the main reason you should never put a seal on a flag is because seals are meant to be very difficult to replicate. Seals are supposed to be a sort of stamp of approval to show that an entity has officially approved of a document or a letter. The more complicated a seal is, the better. The more complicated a flag is, generally no. And for the final part of this rule, the naming. You should never put your name on your flag. Putting your name on your flag shows one thing and one thing only. You don't think that your flag is good enough to be recognizable without it. And don't even get me started on flags that have both a seal and their name on them. Okay, now, words? Sure. Seals? No. Names? No. Seals and names? Absolutely not. All three? Get a new flag.
Rule number 5. Be distinctive or be related. Avoid reusing other designs, but use similarities to show connections.
Well, duh. If your flag is too similar to another flag, or God forbid, several other flags, then you won't be able to tell it apart. But if you want to show that you are related to another entity, you could use similar designs, such as the same color palette but different templates, or the same template but different color palettes. Most national flags follow this rule to a T. You can tell just about every national flag apart with just a quick glance. Look at these two flags behind me. You can tell that their nations are not related to each other just about any way, right? On the other side of the coin, look at these flags right here. You can tell that they all share some kind of similarity, right? In this case, it's the region in which their countries are. There are plenty of examples of flags that hit the similar yet still distinct nail right on the head. There's most of the Arab world, a lot of African countries, Central America, and many more. But there are a few groups of countries that break this rule. The first example is these flags here. Try to tell me which is which. I'll wait. You probably got at least one of those wrong. This is Singapore, this is Indonesia, this is Poland, and this is Monaco. 4 nations that could not be any more different. Sure, Singapore and Indonesia are both in Southeast Asia, but that's pretty much where the similarities end. Our other examples are Romania and Chad. Which is which? I don't know, and you don't know either. These are the files I downloaded right from Wikipedia. No colors were changed, no stretching or shrinking was done. They are, for all intents and purposes, the exact same flag. They came to be in different ways, sure, but that doesn't mean anything. These two nations couldn't be any more different, and when you throw Andorra and Moldova into the mix, it just gets more confusing. So basically, the rules of flag making are pretty clear-cut, right? Unfortunately, that's also wrong. There are always exceptions to every rule. Some flags have more than 3 colors, some have more contrast, some have words on them, and some symbolize nothing. But that's not what a flag should be restricted to. Flags in and of themselves are their own symbols. You can actually gauge how good of a symbol a flag is just by going to the area it represents and seeing how many of that flag you see. The more flags you see, the better the symbol it is, because people like it enough to go out of their way to fly it. Some flags spit in the face of certain rules and bury them in the mud, and their communities still love them. Take the flag of Chicago, for example. This light blue, it isn't the part of the basic colors you'd expect on a flag. But do their people care? No! That's all that really matters. Flags are just symbols. As long as people feel represented by it and they believe it's a good symbol, then it's a good flag. For the final part of this video, Trey will be giving you my ideas on how to make a good flag. Don't put a seal on it, try not to put too many words on it, try to have the colors contrast each other well, don't make it too complicated, and for the love of God, don't put your name on it! That's all for this video. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. That's just about it for today. Goodbye.